What's going on? Hopefully you can hear me. Um, this is Benjamin making another video. I don't really make too many. I probably should, but um, how the algorithm works, not too many people get to see it because I guess you don't hashtag. I don't know. I'm not one of the YouTube people, so to speak, but I do upload videos on my reactions to YouTube. My job details transportation, right, in the metro area. And before I get to that, I want to actually talk about a good brother to me as far as his channel gets is Sergeant Willie P, or SWP, BGS, Black Gnostic Speaks, um, Tone Talks, Yvette Carnell, Tariq Nasheed, B1, Jason Black, Black Media, and what they have as far as to inform so-called black Americans or African Americans or black people of America, Negroes of America, which is very important. And they cover all bases. And there's many others too that I didn't mention, but there's many others in that. When it comes to like the status quo, so to speak, of what you're supposed to be listening to and responding to, reacting to, and being in behavior of just of the knowledge and information that is shared by these channels, which is a lot. But I usually work nights at my transportation job. I'm a bus driver. But it's summertime now, and I'm trying to get home earlier, which really doesn't do much either because I still get home, when sun sets. But it's not a 12 o'clock in the morning return, but nonetheless. When I started work today, it was at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, I got to work, started transportation, started driving. And I noticed that traffic was heavy. Now, it is a metro, a very small metro at that, but it is a metro. However, 10 o'clock in the morning should be reserved for people trying to get to work. What I noticed is it was a lot of people at 10 o'clock in the morning to like 1. Traffic was heavy. And I had spoke to my wife. And my wife said, well, everybody's on their lunch break, which is a very viable observation and statement to make. But when I'm driving and I'm passing like things like McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and like places where, people would try to hurry up on a lunch break, and it's going to make sense in a second why I mentioned those different channels that I mentioned earlier that I gave credence to and respect to. But when I passed those fast food restaurants, they were damn near empty. We talking about 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30. Those places were extremely empty. There wasn't a long line at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, none of the fast food joints, none of the Subways, Arby's, none of that stuff, right? But when I passed places like the Cheesecake Factory and different not so much little bistros, but like bar and grill places, those places were packed at the hours that I formerly mentioned. So from 10:30 to like 1:30, those bar and grill places was packed, which leads me to believe that that's not a lunch hour. That's not. I mean, I work for a living. I know what a lunch hour looked like, and I've worked for a living for a long time. I'm not that old, but I am older. And when you got a specific time for lunch, you better hope that you got leftovers to bring to work and warm up and all that stuff and eat, because you just don't have the time to leave work, jump in your car, commute to where you're going to eat, and then commute back to where you're going to work at. It doesn't. It's just not that simple. And for these places to be packed at from a time from 10 in the morning to almost 2 in the afternoon, and the other places aren't packed. There's not a packed McDonald's. There's not a packed fast food restaurant. That leads me to believe that these aren't lunch hours. These are people who have the time and the money to spend, and that's what SWP, BGS, Antonio Moore, Jason Black, Yvette Carnell, Tariq Nasheed. That's what these people are talking about, because they talk about something that is an old talking point called reparations for Negro Americans or descendants of slaves, or what Tariq would say, foundational Black Americans. For us to actually be in the same realm too, where it's not a lunch hour, but you just get a lunch and you get to chill. Regardless if you're working at home, if you're working while you're at lunch, no matter what, right? And the majority of these people, 95% of these people, are white. Because in the section of the city where I am driving in, the people who frequent these different bar and grills are white. The people who own them are white. The people who work there are white. It's just like what there was a movie that Chris Rock did. I want to say it was Head of State, and he kind of like made a joke in the movie where he said, I work in a hospital that I can't even afford to get sick in. So here you have these people working in these restaurants, black, white, or indifferent, and they can't just spend. I mean, granted, for them, that's super dope that, they're working at a place where they can make money, but they just can't get up and spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with their family and friends, just up getting a bite to eat and drinking socially maybe, and just enjoying their time. But people do have that, and the majority of the people that do have that are white Americans, which is crazy. It's crazy as hell, especially with the temperature of social media, dealing with Biden and his mediocrity from when he first came in, uncovering new things. Donald Trump with his mediocrity, just being able to have a footstool in life to step on. And the majority of people, from what it looks like, have that. And not the majority of black folks, the majority of white folks in this nation. And it's insane to me, because the different channels that I mentioned, they're talking about how that isn't a thing for so-called black Americans or African Americans, and so on and so forth. And then they're still getting the backlash that, these are Russian bots. You start talking about Antonio Moore, that man's information is ridiculous. You talk about Yvette Carnell, her information is oh my gosh, through the roof. Tariq Nasheed kind of does more of a dissing situation where, people try to come in and try to defend the fact that they do have this leisure time to eat, even though they don't speak on it, but it's still the same premise at the end of the day. But try to defend it as if they're not supposed to have it. Well, I mean, if anybody's supposed to have it, as long as with you, it's definitely supposed to be the ADOS or FBA or the American Descendants of Slaves or the Foundation of Black Americans. And it's supposed to be us too. It's not just supposed to be the majority of your population of white Americans that get to enjoy being stay-at-home moms for the women and still being able to take those children to child care and um, affording it while the husband is at work and the mother is just at home. She gets to drop the child off and go to like Lululemon or some shit. Grab her next, like, the next time she runs the city or town with her child in the stroller, she got a new spandex, she got a flat ass, and she try to get her Ice Spice glutes on, her Meg Thee Stallion glutes on. It's just not supposed to be them, and it is. The thing about Sergeant Willie Pete is that, with me anyway, is that he gets the dialogue, if not verbally, but commentary wise, with white men and women that, watch his videos or claim to watch his videos, and they respond to it with a comment. He gets to have some kind of dialogue with it. The BGS thing that's dealing with more of like the black pill, red pill relationships with black men and black women. He deals more with that. But he also has videos that's dealing with economics as well, and very detailed videos. Very smart, very analytical, and very expressive, very articulate in information. I'm still speaking about BGS, right? So, and SWP, or Sergeant Willie Pete, does the same thing and does other things, speaking with black men and black women relationships and how they're like in the crapper, along with other like red pill channels and shit like that. But it's just weird that that's the conversation of being red pilled or black pilled. Because when you black pilled, it's not even a red pill situation anymore. It's dealing with the whole thing of eminent domain, blockbusting, things of that nature. Slavery, but you can take slavery out and you can still, have a whole confirmed reason of why so-called black Americans could fight for something called reparations. I'm sorry for the pause. It just gets real weird on many different levels and fronts. You really have people out here trying, no matter what their race is. You have people out here trying. Then you have people who are out here trying, who are stuck in a living situation where our government does not recognize them as a people group. And, what the media does is try to highlight Trump and Biden as like these saviors to people. But they are saviors to people, yes. But it's not the people that's really grinding and going through their life in a hardened state. Those campaigns and those medias, they don't touch on where the poor white folks are. Them poor white folks are saying the same shit that poor black folks are saying, and we have been saying the same shit since the inception of being poor in this country. The difference is that there's a ethnicity that gets to kind of like bolster you up, even though it doesn't do it in real life tangibly, but it does in a form to where you can kind of like, oh, well, see, I'm not like them, or we're not like them, they not like us. We can Kendrick Lamar the shit, but it doesn't really exclusively put the point where, understand, there were mines and factories in these little townships that were mainly composed of white inhabitants. You got a small group of blacks, and you got a very, very, very small group of immigrants, and they still shut the whole factory down, sent that shit to Mexico, Canada or elsewhere. And we're still fighting against each other as racism. And I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. What I am saying is, though, there's a certain group of people, especially white poors, that can tell you that, oh my gosh, it's everybody else's fault, but, theirs. Well, no, it's not your poor white fault for the most part, but it is the fact that you poor and you white is the reason why factories can move out and coal mines and any other type of mining situation in your town can shut down too and not feed your families and be married and create children and things like that and inheritances, while people that are so-called educated can do so. So I do have to give a shout out to Sergeant Willie Pete. That, bro, I don't give a fuck how you sound, and you do articulate yourself very nasally and whitish, and none of that shit matters because you're teaching people, such as myself. I don't do well with reading and sitting down and having the patience to absorb everything. I like a lot of things being lecturized to me. That's not even a word, but it's about to be a word today. And then like researching it later and like kind of getting the lamest terms of it. And then after getting the lamest terms, you go deeper, you dig deeper, and you find out that the shit that was lectured is the shit that's actually true, as well as other truths. So, but the major truth is I'm driving in July where it's from 10 o'clock in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon, and there are just people out enjoying themselves on the road, just driving, nowhere to go. So you're at a light. I'm in transportation. These people are on their leisure. I'm at a light. They on their phone, don't even realize that the light has turned green. Get the people my horn. They're still taking their time to answer or respond, whatever text or phone message or whatever. And they eventually pull off on that green light and it turns to yellow. I'm still working my job. Transporting people that are either trying to get to a job or wherever they're trying to get to. But nonetheless, these people were not black folks. They weren't Hispanic folks. These were white folks that just had time and money to be from 10 o'clock a.m. to 1:30 in the afternoon. Something has to give. Thank you for listening. Benjamin out.